Kentucky mornings start here. WKYT This Morning.
Now at 7 on WKYT This Morning, the budget battle wages on, and it could move from the Capitol to the courtroom. We'll see what Attorney General Andy Beshear has to say about the governor's recent cuts.
And people who depend on a Central Kentucky bridge may have to wait even longer for it to reopen. Drivers say they're frustrated.
And it's up to a judge to decide whether some evidence in a high-profile bourbon theft case will be thrown out. That's ahead on WKYT This Morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning and happy Saturday. I'm Meredith Jones.
And I'm Sean Moody. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. Hope everybody had a good April Fool's Day. Made it through without too many craziness.
That's right. You know, the best one I saw real quick was someone filled up a balloon and put whipped cream all over it and told her husband that she baked a cake. And he cut into it and poof.
Surprise.
Surprise.
We got some surprises in the weather, too. Mike Linden is standing by. It's a little bit chilly and a little bit breezy out there today.
Yeah, that's right, Sean, and that is both going to come back at us in full force here the next few hours and days ahead of us. Right now on Defender, not really tracking very much going on early this morning, but into the afternoon, well, things are going to get quite interesting. That's when we are going to feel a cold front moving in that's going to bring us some gusty winds, but that will also result in a freeze warning heading into tomorrow morning. That means temperatures will be at or below freezing to kick off our Sunday. A wind advisory in place between 40 and 45 miles per hour this afternoon, which goes hand in hand with a red flag warning for southern and southeastern Kentucky. So that means fire danger will be critically high for those counties colored in by that pink overlay. That includes Magoffin County, Laurel County, Perry County, and as you pretty much go up to the Kentucky, Virginia, and West Virginia line. Coming up, though, we'll be talking about this up and down week of weather because it's not what you just saw, those warnings that we'll have to deal with. This is a week which could include the return of snow flurries. That's all coming up in 10 minutes. You don't want to miss it.
All right, Mike, thank you. The battle over higher education funding cuts could end up in court now that Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear is involved.
Beshear called Governor Bevin's immediate 4.5% budget cuts to public colleges and universities illegal. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the live desk continuing our budget coverage.
Good morning, Meredith. The Attorney General says if the governor does not scrap his cuts to higher education by Friday, he'll sue him. Bevin is brushing off the threat of litigation, though, saying you can sue anyone for anything at any time. The governor ordered an immediate 4.5% budget cut for all public colleges and universities on Thursday. The move came as a surprise to many when it happened after House and Senate leaders failed to reach an agreement on the two-year budget. Those lawmakers did not have Bevin's proposed education cuts in their versions of the state spending plan. Beshear says that the governor overstepped his power when he issued the cuts because he can't legally cut money that lawmakers have already set aside for schools unless there is a shortfall. Bevin does not appear to be backing down. He doesn't think his cuts will hurt budget negotiations.
I have absolute confidence that sometime between now and 2 weeks from now that we will be able to come out of here with a budget that serves the people of Kentucky well. As I have said, though, if we do not, it will be because he is unwilling to truly negotiate.
The governor is referring to Representative Greg Stumbo there. He and the House Speaker disagree over whether the education cuts should be used to start paying down the state's pension debt. Now, the Attorney General has given Bevin 6 more days to repeal the cuts, or again, he says he'll sue him in Franklin County Circuit Court. From the live desk, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Kentucky lawmakers have passed a bill to let some felons clear their records. The bill passed House yesterday, and it would give some nonviolent felons a second chance by letting them ask a court to erase their criminal records. Now, it does not apply to violent felons or sex offenders. The bill passed the Senate earlier this week and will go now to Governor Bevin. He says he plans on signing it into law.
Kentucky lawmakers have approved a bill that would increase fees for prepaid phone customers to support 911 emergency services. The Senate and the House both gave final approval to the bill, so it now heads on to Governor Matt Bevin's desk. Under that bill, when you buy a prepaid phone, you'll pay an extra 93 cents for 911 services. Landline and cell phone customers already pay 911 fees, but prepaid customers haven't been paying a full 911 fee. If the governor signs that bill into law, it would take effect on January 1st. In Knox County, police have arrested a woman who they say offered people sex for money in a Walmart parking lot. In an arrest citation, Barberville police say 57-year-old Annette Hammonds asked customers to go on dates referred to as, quote, the type you pay for, end quote. Police also said she asked the Walmart manager for money and sex. They later arrested Hammonds at her home and charged her with prostitution, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest.
People who depend on a Central Kentucky bridge say they're frustrated they'll have to wait even longer for it to reopen. Now, in September, state transportation leaders shut down the Kentucky Mill Bridge over Harrington Lake, saying steel on the bridge was falling apart. Repairs were supposed to take 3 months, but the state couldn't start the work until February. The bridge was supposed to reopen yesterday, but the state pushed that back another week. One man tells us he's spending an extra $100 a month on gas because of the detour he has to take.
I live in Nicholasville, and it takes me an extra 30 minutes to get to work, and I have to travel through 3 counties to get here.
The state plans to build a new bridge in that area. Now, the old bridge will stay open while the new one is built.
A judge will decide whether some evidence in a high-profile bourbon theft case will be thrown out. The lawyer for 2 people accused of being involved in the Pappy Van Winkle theft case were in court yesterday. Police said an anonymous tip led them to the discovery of alleged stolen bourbon barrels on Gilbert and Julie Kurtzinger's property. Earlier this week, attorney Whitney Lawson filed a motion to suppress. The State Journal reports that the motion applies to the evidence obtained through 2 search warrants that led detectives to stolen bourbon. Lawson argued that there wasn't enough probable cause of the initial search warrant.
I'm not going to go into specifics, but pretty much what we're saying is that we need to look into the search warrant and see that it passes the smell test, quite frankly. So we're asking the judge to look at it based on various arguments, which we'll address at the hearing.
Another court date has not been set. Attorneys say they are working on responding to the motions that were filed.
A video of a Lexington woman singing has gone viral online. Callie Day works as a pharmacy technician at a Walmart in Lexington, but after that video of her singing was posted to Facebook, it quickly received more than 2.5 million views. It even garnered the attention of American Idol winner Fantasia Barrino and gospel singer Kim Burrell.
It's awesome and humbling at the same time, and I just pray that whatever they hear or what they're getting from the song, that it just blesses their heart.
Callie is a doctoral candidate in vocal performance at UK. She's been raising money in hopes of finishing production on her first album. Now you can find a link to her fundraising site at WKYT.com.
Amazing voice.
Voice of Angel.
Yeah, awesome to see her belting it right there in the Walmart, too. It's 7:08 on your Saturday, and there's still plenty ahead here on WKYT this morning.
A pair of new movies are vying for their spot in the top 5 at the box office. One will make the cut, the other, well, will it get in the top 10? We'll take a look at what's now showing still ahead on WKYT this morning.
And presidential candidate and Ohio Governor John Kasich is facing his first scandal during his campaign. People just might consider this one unforgivable. Details on the cheesy slip-up coming up after Mike Linden's forecast.
And while it is April, it's not going to feel nor look like it much today. And coming up, I'll show you a 7-day forecast that could include snow flurries. I'll show you when, coming up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Mike Linden.
Good morning and welcome to April. Although it looks like Mother Nature has not gotten the memo, maybe playing an April Fool's joke on us here for the next 7 days, because we have a wacky up and down pattern of weather for us here the next few days. Let's jump right in. Right now, Defender not really showing us very much, so your morning looks to be rather pleasant. If you're getting up early this morning and heading to Keeneland for the Run the Bluegrass Half Marathon, the weather should be pretty nice for you, albeit a little gusty too. We are tracking several cold fronts that are pretty much going to set up our next week for us here. This big cold front off the eastern seaboard is what what came through yesterday afternoon, bringing us those gusty winds. Here we have yet another cold front set to pass by us today, and then we have another cold front on the way as we head into the early stages of the work week. Each going to pretty much do the same thing, usher in cold air and bring with it some gusty winds. Notice on these lines here coming in from the northwest, that's indicative of cooler than normal temperatures, and that's what we're going to deal with today. That cold front also going to bring us in some rather strong winds between 40 and 45 mile-per-hour wind gusts, which not necessarily is a good thing for the southeastern mountains. A red flag warning in effect for all of the counties colored in here by this pink color. So if you're heading to Wolfe County today, maybe to the Natural Bridge State Park, things are going to be really nice looking weather, albeit a little gusty, with the chance for fire danger to be very high. Sunday morning, once that cold front passes us by and skies are clear overnight, that's going to allow for temperatures to sink back below freezing. A freeze warning in effect for Sunday morning for the state as a whole. Your afternoon today, cooler than normal into the lower 50s. We should normally be in the lower 60s this time of year. And while I said it's going to be nice, mostly sunny for the most part into the afternoon, it's going to get rather cold and gusty as we head into the second half of our day. Here's a look at those wind gusts up near about 45 miles per hour as we head into the afternoon. The passing of that cold front will pretty much be in the early afternoon, and then things are going to be rather gusty just behind it, potentially up near 50 miles per hour in a few spots out there, and those gusty winds will stay with us as we head into the evening hours as well. So this up and down week of weather is going to feature, as I touched on, many passing cold fronts, but that's going to bring in cold air the next few days. Here's a look at Monday afternoon, pretty much treading that line, looking rather mild from Monday afternoon. To kick off Tuesday morning, another hard freeze is likely on the way. But then as we get into Thursday and into Friday, well, that's the biggest cold shot of the week. Cold air sinking in from the Great Lakes, enough so that we could even get in on some snow flurries late Thursday night and into Friday morning. So green thumb alert for you if you are thinking about planting anything outside the next few days. We have several hard freezes likely tomorrow, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's always a good rule of thumb here in Kentucky to just wait until Derby Day. I know it's tempting, but wait until Derby Day to put anything in the ground there. Moving into the next few days in the 7-day forecast here, not the prettiest and not exactly the warmest for a springtime forecast, but that's what we'll likely deal with. One day off, another day hard freeze. Another day off, another day hard freeze. And that'll pretty much take us all the way into next weekend with a chance for snow flurries early Friday morning.
All right. Keeping
Thanks,
it
Mike.
Thanks. Thanks. Well, Ohio Governor John Kasich may be dealing with the first scandal of his presidential campaign, and it's a cheesy one.
It is. Kasich grabbed a slice of pizza while he campaigned in New York earlier in the week. Now, it's not an unknown move for candidates, but what is an unknown move, at least in New York, there is eating pizza with a fork. The food faux pas is considered unforgivable to New Yorkers, just as Mayor Bill de Blasio, who was ridiculed for the same mistake back in 2014. Now, when asked about the fork, Kasich said the pizza was scalding hot, but in his defense, he did drop the fork after the first bite and ate the rest of that slice with his hands. And I gotta say, you know, as someone who wears a suit a lot, I think I might do the same thing. You don't want to get the grease all over you. And Mike Linden's a New Yorker, he's from that area, and he said, not too bad, people do it.
Well, I feel like he got peer pressured into actually putting the fork down and kind of taking a bite.
Yeah.
Each is their own, right?
For sure. And he hit both bases. Did the fork, did the hands, did it all.
I think I do a little bit of both. Just all depends.
7:15 on your Saturday morning.
When WKYT returns this morning.
A pair of new movies are out in theaters this weekend. Both are trying to make it into the top 5. We'll see how they'll fare coming up.
And Whoopi Goldberg has co-founded a medical cannabis company. That and more coming up. And your Hollywood headlines. Stay with us on WKYT this morning.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Welcome back. 7:18 now on your Saturday morning. The weekend box office is starting to look a little familiar. Batman vs. Superman figures out to top the chart, with Zootopia and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2 continuing to do well.
But a couple of new films will do their best to attract you. David Daniel looks at what's now showing.
We're going to prove once and for all that God is dead.
But promises to be alive and well at the box office. God's Not Dead 2, the faith-based follow-up to the 2014 hit, features Melissa Joan Hart as a teacher who winds up in court after quoting Jesus in class. Analysts say it could debut as high as 3rd place behind Batman v Superman and Zootopia, earning nearly $15 million.
This is it. Our new home, new beginnings.
We got money!
The forecast isn't as good for the weekend's other new wide release. Meet the Blacks is a parody of the Purge movies, featuring an African-American family that's just moved to Beverly Hills. Numbers crunchers are predicting it'll open in the top 10, not the top 5. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, big names in music, movies, and marijuana, that's in this morning's Hollywood Minute. Take a look.
Could be that this is all there is.
A major honor for John Mellencamp. The Grammy winner and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer is this year's recipient of the Founders Award presented by the songwriters and composers group ASCAP. He'll pick up the prize at ASCAP's annual gala April 27th in Hollywood.
Dory? Yes. Dory? Yes. You and I were friends! No.
Finding Dory has found an all-star cast. When Ellen DeGeneres and Albert Brooks return as Dory and Marlin, they'll be joined by Ed O'Neill as an octopus escape artist, Ty Burrell as a beluga whale, Idris Elba as a lazy sea lion, and Diane Keaton and Eugene Levy as Dory's parents. The Under the sequel arrives June 17th. Whoopi's whipping up medical marijuana. Whoopi Goldberg has co-founded a medical cannabis company to produce a variety of products aimed at relieving menstrual pain and discomfort. Salves, balms, and edibles from Whoopi and Maya will be available in California in April. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
All kinds of stuff going on there. It is 7:21 on your Saturday morning. There's still more to come.
That's right. Sports is next. Stay with us.
It was a game for the ages if you like the CBI. Morehead State and Nevada in the championship game. Winner take all. It would go to overtime, and it was gut-wrenching. The highlights on the way next.
And while there are some clouds out there, you can see some peaks of blue through them coming up. I'll show you what looks to be a very active up and down pattern that really could feature it all. Good morning and welcome to April. Although it really doesn't look nor feel like it very much, things are clearing up on our live sky camera though this morning. You can see some very thick cloud cover over Lexington, but there are several breaks in it, and that is going to continue to be the case. We will see the clouds breaking down heading into the afternoon. You can see on Defender that cloud cover pushing off toward the southeast of us, opening us up to a very nice looking start to our weekend. Maybe not the best feeling though as we head into the afternoon today. Gusts of wind up near about 40 to 45 mile per hour gusts. Those will be rather strong for you, so just be careful that you have the patio furniture not blowing through the backyard or down the street, because those gusts of wind are going to really pick up heading into the afternoon today. Now, with those gusts of wind picking up and the humidity low, it's going to be a dry day today. That's not necessarily what you want, especially when you're talking about the potential for fires sparking up and spreading. And that will be the case today in southern and southeastern Kentucky. A red flag warning in effect for pretty much all of the counties against the southeastern mountains. And again, into the afternoon today, not the warmest, back to the cooler than normal mid to low 50s under partly cloudy skies. Now, of course, if you're heading out to Keeneland to run the bluegrass this morning, just be sure to dress appropriately. It is going to be a little cooler than normal. Those winds, though, won't pick up until we get into the second half of our day. Brian Milam is back in next with some highlights of a wild game between Morehead State and Nevada.
Morehead State and Nevada in the third and deciding game for the CBI championship last night, and what a game it was. Let's go to Reno. Nevada led by 14. But with about 8 minutes to go, Lamontre Harris with a three-pointer ties it at 61. Right back the other end, Marcus Coleman puts Nevada in front by 2. Under 7 minutes to go, Malik Maitland will beat the shot clock. Eagles up 64-63. 5 minutes left. Maitland again. He averaged 5 points on the year. He had 12 last night. We're tied at 66, 2.5 left. Brent Arrington, the shot, 68 all. 1.5 minutes to go. Maitland again. Look how far out. We're tied at 76.7 seconds left. Rico Barrero, a 50% free throw shooter. hits 2, and we go to overtime. And in overtime, Brent Arrington will get the steal. He'll get the tough layup to go. We're tied at 80. MSU again onto the attack. Tied at 80. The dish to Lionel Gaines, 82-80 Eagles. Nevada looking for the lead. How does this ball find its way to Criswell? Watch this. Just the tap pass. Down 85-82. Final chance for Moorhead. Watch this play. Xavier Moon from half court. Oh, the humanity. And Moorhead State denied the CBI championship. What an effort. Nevada wins it 85-82. Catch your breath. Kentucky baseball on the road at Tennessee for the 3-game set, and it did not start well for UK. It didn't end well either. Tennessee opens up a 3-0 lead, adds more in the 5th. Jordan Rogers would hit for the cycle in this game. Bases loaded, triple to left center. The Vols up 7-0. By the time the inning was over, it was 9-0. The Cats fight back in the 8th. Evan White extends his hitting streak to 19 games, rips one off the wall in left center field. That scores 2. Then Gunnar McNeil delivers a bomb to left. He extends his UK record hitting streak to 21 games. It was 9-5, but Tennessee would add 5 more in the bottom of the 8th and goes on for the win. 14-5, game 2 later this afternoon. That's a look at sports. Enjoy your weekend.
Now at 7:30 on WKYT this morning, the governor has made some decisions on the state's budget that are drawing some criticism. The Attorney General says one of those decisions is illegal.
And the sudden death of a Powell County educator has left the community in mourning. How Joyce Hall's colleagues are remembering her ahead on WKYT this morning.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Sean Moody.
And I'm Meredith Jones, and we made it after April 1st.
Yeah.
Did anybody play any tricks on you?
I didn't have any played on me. I just kind of sit back and watch Facebook and just see what craziness happens.
Get tons of them, I'm sure.
What about you?
No. I didn't actually notice toward the end of the day that I was like, oh my goodness, it's April Fool's.
Yeah.
And by that time it was too late to kind of fool my husband. So.
Everyone's thinking about it at that point. You might think today's forecast is a little bit of an April Fool's joke. Mike Linden is standing by. He says it's not, though.
And that is most certainly not the case. Starting off this morning with a really nice look at our live sky camera, looking out toward the cloud cover, and I'm going to get this out on Twitter. Sean Moody's been begging for it, so just give me some time until I finish this to get it out on Twitter. But things are starting to give way to some blue skies, and that should make way toward a very nice looking Saturday. But as far as it feeling nice, well, the radar is not necessarily going to be indicative of how nice it will be, because it will be sunny. It will look good out there this afternoon, but boy, it's going to be windy. Gusts of wind up near 40 to 45 miles per hour. Those will persist from about noon all the way until midnight tonight. So a very windy day out ahead of us today. Other than that, cooler than normal, and that's really all you'll have to battle with. But if you live in southeastern Kentucky, or if you're heading to the mountains to go hiking or just spend some time outside this weekend, a red flag warning is in effect for southeastern Kentucky. Certainly something to watch out for if you're heading outside this morning, especially to that area of the bluegrass. So that's just today, but an up and down week is out ahead of us, enough so where we may even see some snow flurries. I'll show you when coming up.
All right, Mike, thank you. The battle over higher education funding cuts could end up in court. Now the Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear is involved.
Beshear called Governor Bevin's immediate 4.5% budget cuts to public colleges and universities illegal. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the live desk continuing our budget coverage.
Good morning, Meredith. The Attorney General says this is not about political drama, it's about the law. He has given the governor 6 days to reverse the cuts, or he says he'll sue him. Beshear says Bevin did not have the authority to order the 4.5% cut for all state colleges and universities on Thursday. Bevin issued the executive order after budget talks between lawmakers in the House and the Senate fell to pieces. The governor says that the education cuts are needed if the state's going to start paying off billions in pension debt. Beshear is now threatening to sue him for ordering the cuts because he says the governor cannot legally cut money that state legislators have already promised to schools. That is, unless there's a shortfall.
There's a Constitution which supports our position and suggests the governor can't do what he's doing. There are specific statutes on how you handle a budget shortfall. which the governor is not following. And then you have the last biennium's budget, which puts in very explicit detail what you have to do when you reach one. So we are very confident in our legal position.
The governor is too. His office says that their general counsel as well as the budget office have confirmed that they are standing on firm legal ground. Still, Beshear says that he will take Bevin to court if he does not cut back on his cuts to higher education by Friday. From the live desk, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. Now, only one other surrounding state has cut funding to higher education in the past 2 years. A study by Illinois State University shows Kentucky has cut 1.5% to state universities and colleges. West Virginia's cut 5%. All other surrounding states have increased higher education funding, led by Missouri at 8.5% and Ohio at 6.3%.
The State House has passed a bill that would give Kentucky's court system an extra $60 million over the next 2 years. It's designed to avoid what Kentucky Chief Justice John Minton called a crippling deficit. He said proposed budget cuts of 9% for the court system would lead to 600 layoffs and eliminate the state's drug court program. The Senate did not vote on the bill yesterday.
A community is remembering a Powell County educator after her sudden death. Family members say Joyce Hall died earlier this week, just days after developing flu-like symptoms. Now the Stanton community is mourning the loss of a woman who spent decades dedicating herself to helping to improve the lives of children. She was the Family Resource Center director at Stanton Elementary School, and her colleagues have fond memories of her.
She would do literally anything for her school, for the kids, for the staff there, and she just meant the world to everybody at Stanton Elementary.
She would do whatever it took in order to impact the family positively.
Stanton Elementary School plans to hold a balloon release for Joyce Hall next week.
New this morning, we're following a deadly crash out of Powell County. It happened just before 9 last night on Black Creek Road near Clay City. Kentucky State Police say 41-year-old Patricia Adams and her passenger, 65-year-old Johnny Manns, lost control and crossed into the path of an oncoming vehicle. The Powell County coroner says Manns died in the accident. Police say Adams had to be airlifted to UK Hospital, where she is listed as critical this morning. We're told the driver and the passenger in the second vehicle were treated at the scene for non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators believe alcohol may have been a contributing factor in this case.
A hearing for a man accused of killing a Richmond police officer has been delayed again, and family members of the officer say they're getting frustrated. Police charged Raleigh Sizemore with murder after they say he shot Officer Daniel Ellis last November. A pretrial conference for Sizemore had been delayed once before, but it was supposed to happen yesterday. But that hearing was delayed again because the defense asked for more time to go through evidence in the case.
It's been 5 months. They've had 5 months to prepare for this case, and there needs to be a trial date set pretty soon. Daniel deserves that. You know, our family definitely deserves that.
Officer Ellis's brother says some family members live outside of Madison County. He says repeatedly planning trips for hearings only to have them canceled is draining for them. Sizemore's next court date is scheduled for April 14th.
In Letcher County, police say burglars stole the keys to every car parked at a used car lot. The owner of Sexton's Used Cars in Whitesburg says the burglars also stole a Pontiac, a Camaro, and damaged other cars on the lot. He says it happened sometime late Thursday night.
Time on this Saturday morning is 7:38. Plenty ahead here on WKYT this morning.
A ponytail failed the hairplane that left one man disguised and sent a picture all across the internet. You'll see what we're talking about coming up after Mike's forecast.
And while it is April, it's not going to feel nor look like it very much out there today. We might even see some snow in the next 7 days. I'll break it all down coming up.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with Mike Linden.
Well, while it is April, that's what the calendar says after all. It's not going to look nor feel like it very much out there today. Very March-like feel. Not only today, but for the next several days. Right now on Defender, the skies are beginning to break down. That means we will see a little more cloud cover as we head into our afternoon today. If you're heading out to Keeneland this morning to run the Bluegrass, the half marathon, well, good luck to you. That's a big accomplishment, 13.1 miles. But things are going to be nice for you heading outside this morning. Now, it is going to be much cooler, mind you, than where we should be normally this time of year. A series of cold fronts is pretty much setting up how we'll deal with this week of weather. A cold front yesterday that blew through brought us those gusty winds, as I'm sure you felt if you stepped outside. We're pretty much going to deal with the exact same thing out there today. Another cold front set to pass us by. And then what do you know? You look off to the west, yet another cold front set to work its way in as we head into the early stages of the work week. Now, if you look at where the winds are coming from, the northwest, that's why we're getting these cooler than normal temperatures. If you really want the warm stuff, we need those winds to come in from the south and southwest. But today, those winds, speaking of which, are going to be rather strong, between about 40 and 45 miles per hour. That's thanks to that cold front passing by. That's pretty much the entire state going to be dealing with those strong winds. We'll time those in just a moment. But remember, with strong winds and dry conditions, a red flag warning is likely to occur, and that is the case for southeastern Kentucky today. Any of the counties here colored in by this pink overlay are part of that warning. So if you're heading out to go hiking this afternoon, just keep in mind that if you are going to light a campfire, to be incredibly careful or just not do it at all. A freeze warning after that goes into effect for Sunday morning. That means temperatures are going to be really cold as we kick off Sunday morning, below freezing and likely staying that way through your entire morning. Into the afternoon today, as we touched on, those winds from the northwest are really going to put a low ceiling on our temperatures today. The lower 50s, but we will get some sunshine. But regardless, that's still a good 10 degrees off from where we should be normally this time of year. So a mild spring day, but not exactly the calmest one. Here's a look at when those winds are going to kick up. This morning even, they're up near about the 20-mile-per-hour mark, but into the afternoon, watch this. We start at noon, and it's pretty much all systems go from that point on into the afternoon, getting up near about 45 miles per hour and staying that way as we head into the evening hours at about 35 miles per hour. So this week of weather is just going to feature many cold shots of air sinking in from the north. That'll be the case as well as we get into Tuesday, that cold air sinking in behind that cold front that right now is up near the Minneapolis area. Then as we get into the latter stages of the work week, Thursday into Friday, we get potentially the deepest shot of cold air coming in that could produce some snow flurries as we head into Friday morning. So if you're thinking about planting anything outside, just wait until Derby Day. That's the best idea because we have several hard freeze chances ahead of us here. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, all likely to feature temperatures at or below freezing. So your 7-day forecast not exactly looking like like April in the slightest, more like March. Those temperatures will be subnormal almost every day except for Monday there, but we are bound to run into several hard freezes along the way and even a chance for snow flurries by the end of the week.
You know, April Fool's Day was yesterday, not today, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, just
so this is real.
Yeah,
this is real.
This is real.
Thanks,
All
Mike.
right. Well, it's the latest example of an airline passenger behaving badly. I mean, do passengers really want to share their personal space with someone else's hair?
CNN's Jeannie Mose has the tale of a ponytail fail. Take a look.
It doesn't quite qualify as an in-flight emergency, but
all of a sudden, this ponytail drops down in front of us.
This ponytail, Dante Ramos and his partner exchanged, "Can you believe this?" looks. Then Dante snapped the photo. Congrats to the ponytailed young woman in seat 22B. You've invented a whole new way to be awful at 35,000 feet.
We looked at it with disbelief. And so we waited to see whether the ponytail owner would notice. She didn't appear to.
The photo went massively viral, landing on the infamous passenger shaming Facebook page, where joined bare feet in midair, bare feet on tray tables, feet on armrests, Q-tips left in seat pockets, litter, travelers half undressed. Former flight attendant Sean Kathleen created passenger shaming. Yikes!
It's so yikes. It's so beyond yikes. There was a gentleman treating his warts with Compound W.
There are other hair-plain photos on the passenger shaming page, but this one struck a chord. And what were people suggesting you should have done?
We should have put gum in her hair.
"Hey, Rapunzel," commented someone, "you have 5 seconds to move your hair before I cut it off," suggested another. "Just grab it, caress it, sniff it, give it just enough of a tug." But Dante's partner opted to simply stand up.
Hovered over her in a way that she noticed.
Without exchanging a word, she brought up her seat, her hair disappeared. Dante is a Boston Globe columnist, so he wrote a piece entitled "The Day I Went Viral," bemoaning how much attention his hair tweet got compared to serious stuff, while still admiring clever puns like,
"We've been hijacked," as if it was a hair weave that had somehow taken over the plane.
And lest your locks threaten to overflow your seat, lock 'em down. Jeannie Mo, CNN, New York.
Good morning. Hope you're enjoying your start to your Saturday here on WKYT. It has been spring break for many Kentucky schools this week, but the state education department has been busy planning for what's ahead. The new commissioner of education is Dr. Stephen Pruitt, who told me on this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers that he jumped at the chance to take the job and is glad he did. Why did you seek this position, and how is it going so far?
It's going great. It's the best decision I've ever made. It's from a career perspective, from a personal perspective, I'm absolutely loving being in Kentucky. As far as why I sought it, I've had an opportunity to work in education policy for a while now. And all the way back to my days when I was at the Georgia Department of Education, we always looked at Kentucky as a shining star. And with all the commitment and all the progressive movements that have happened across the years. And then I had an opportunity when I was working at the national level to really see how Kentucky, at key moments in history, kind of come together to ensure that they find a way to make lives better for their children. So when the opportunity came around and I had a few people very kindly offer my name up from here in Kentucky to be the new commissioner, how could I say no?
Is it a good thing in your view that education is at least slightly removed from the direct politics of Frankfort? You're not appointed by the governor. You take some guidance from the legislature, but overall, education at the Kentucky Department of Education is guided by the state school board.
I think it is. I've had an opportunity to work in an elected system, and I've watched all the systems that happen over the last few years. And I think that there's a benefit. I think the writers of KARA were very thoughtful and deliberate about that. What it does is it allows us to have some consistency across time. It allows us to make decisions based on good research and not just on what is going to be best political medicine, so to speak. But having said all that, I'll also say that you can't completely be away from it. So my job is to be the expert in education in Kentucky. To run an agency that can support our schools, our districts, but also offer good information, and to be a good partner with the governor and with the legislature, so that together, because really we can't improve education any one of us alone, but at the same time, I think it's been a good decision overall.
It's worth noting, and it was, that you took this post right in the middle of a governor's race where there was, talk about going one way or the other and that sort of thing. That didn't scare you away.
No, it didn't. I've said before, I came here to work for Kentucky students, and however the election worked out was how it worked out.
What are your key goals for your tenure as Commissioner of Education? You've talked about equity, achievement, integrity. Those are three things you've mentioned. Take those in order. How do you ensure that students have access and the chance to succeed?
Sure. So I would say my whole career has sort of been built on those three pillars, and it's what I want to ensure that we do as an agency, and I hope that we build this as a full state. We have this incredible opportunity with the Every Student Succeeds Act to build a system here that really reflect Kentucky's values and how we evaluate our schools.
Now, to see the full edition of Kentucky Newsmakers, set your DVR or catch it tomorrow morning at 6 on WKYT or on its repeat at 10 on the CW Lexington. We also talked to Miranda Combs about her trip to Atlanta to cover a drug summit there. I'm Bill Bryant. We'll be right back on WKYT This Morning.
Welcome back to WKYT This Morning. It's 7:56 on your Saturday. Now, we all live in a digital age, so it's no surprise to hear of a Wi-Fi wedding. But this story has a special reasoning behind it.
Yeah, Wi-Fi for good. Definitely one Michigan dad ended up in the hospital for heart surgery just hours before he was supposed to leave for his daughter's wedding. But thanks to some of the hospital staff and, of course, technology, he was still able to celebrate the special day. Wi-Fi and iPad can do wonders. That's awesome.
I know. Look at that.
Yeah, very cool. Here's what's coming up next on CBS This Morning, Saturday.
Donald Trump has recently mocked Ted Cruz's wife, defended a campaign aide arrested on a charge of battery, and suggested punishing women who terminate pregnancies. A closer look at the 2016 presidential campaigns on CBS This Morning.
And today's weather, not exactly looking nor feeling much like April, going to look and feel a lot more like March. With a chance for some very gusty winds out there today, temperatures subnormal in the lower 50s, very windy this afternoon, and then a freeze warning for early Sunday morning. We're right back at another freeze on Tuesday and potentially even snow flurries by the end of the week.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good Saturday.
Bye.